So it's been reported that you are considering throwing your hat in the ring again to get back into politics. I'm curious why. I think a lot of people are curious why. You are a respected pundit at the moment. You have a radio show, a podcast. You've been through a lot. Obviously, opening this door, brings out the elephant in the room that, maybe you want to talk about or not. But a lot of people are still stuck on your past. A lot of people are stuck on a lot of people's past. So my first question is, what motivated you to decide to do this?
Yeah, that was a lot in that question, Rachel.
Yeah, I know.
Look, I mean, after the election last year, about 500,000 people in New York City, Democrats, 500,000 Democrats didn't even vote.
Mm-hmm.
And, here it was the election of our lifetime. Everyone was talking about it for years. We're this progressive city. Donald Trump gained by percentage in New York City, mostly because the denominator of the vote changed. A lot of Democrats stayed home. Mm-hmm. And I think it reflected this feeling that, frankly, I shared, that New York City it should be a place that, since Democrats run the state, we run the city, we run the city council, we have the mayor, we have the governor. It should be a place that Democrats are responsible for solving problems. And I stopped seeing that happen. Now, I've been in New York City my whole life. I've seen some really bad periods of New York City. We're not in one of those periods. Crime is not rampant, but it's a problem. Mm-hmm. We have a problem with disorder in our city. We have a problem with the mentally disturbed homeless on our streets. We have a problem with some of the policies that have been passed. And frankly, I think those 500,000 voters stayed home because they didn't see the problems getting solved in their own backyard, and have not become Republicans by any stretch, but did develop a sense almost of ennui or malaise about where we were. And I shared that. And I've been a civilian for 10 years. I ran a countertop company in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. We hired the formerly incarcerated. I'm on the radio. I got a conservative radio station in New York. I've got a great life. I feel very blessed. But when I picked my head up, like a lot of New Yorkers did, and I looked at the political scene right in my backyard here in Lower Manhattan, where I live now and have lived for the last decade or so, I didn't see people saying the things that connected with, I thought, the experience I was having about the gradual rise in crime and disorderliness that we had in our community, the illegal pot shops that had opened up all over the vacant stores, the fact that scaffoldings had sprung up all around Manhattan, but there was no construction going on. So I guess it comes down to the age-old thing. If you're not part of trying to solve the problem, you might be part of the problem. And I said, look, I've got a lot of experience in these things. I've got ideas that people are not talking about. And I wanted to give the voters here a choice. Now, if they accept the choice or don't, all I can do is put myself out there.
Right. So do you think that voters are going to be hung up on your past, or do you think they'll be able to hear your message?
I don't know. I mean, look, for Rachel, for many people, I'm a Rorschach test. They look at me in very different ways and looked at the experience that I've had. I mean, you've asked the question in kind of this way that's very hard to answer. How will people look at it? Some people come up to me on the street and they say, oh man, the man really got you down. You didn't do anything wrong. And I'm like, no, I accept responsibility for the things I did. And then there are other people that said, man, you should run for office again. I'm gonna say, well, did you see how it ended last time? And they're like, no, how did it end last time? Like they had no memory of exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. My son just went to pick up an order at Wingstop on the corner, and it had my name on the receipt, and the person behind the counter said, tell your dad to run for governor again. Albany's a mess. They thought I was Spitzer. So in answer to your question, people are going to view at it very differently. And all I can do is try to meet them where they are. Mm-hmm. So if you ask me the question, are they going to respond or are they going to like it? I don't know. I mean, just last night, I was on a candidates forum. They did it by Zoom, a candidates forum or a local Democratic club. And someone got on and asked me this really harsh question and called me a name and whatever it is. And I answered her where she was. And I said, look, there are some people, when they do a job interview, refuse to consider anyone who served prison time. Refuse. And I have a view of criminal justice And this was a very progressive organization I was talking to. So I have a view of criminal justice that says that when you do your time, if you accept responsibility, if you serve your probation, if you serve your time, then people should have an opportunity to go back and be of service to their community if they can. That's my view.
Right.
Now, if someone disagrees with that, that's their total right to do it. But I think that particularly in the kind of district that I represent, where a lot of people espouse very progressive values around criminal justice, to say, I believe in criminal justice reform and people should not have to live in perpetuity with the shadow of their record hanging over them, except when it comes to you, Weiner, then I'm going to push back on that. But people are entitled, when you're running for office, people can vote against you for all kinds of different reasons. And if people want to hold that against me, it's their right. But I'm not going to scrape, Rachel. I'm not going to cower. I'm not going to grovel. I'm standing here with my ideas, my record, all of my record. And if for other people who are in recovery, who want to know if they can bounce back and get their old lives back, maybe for them, I'm performing some service.